Check out FlipsideGaming.com for all your gaming needs. Use the promo code HEROES to save 10% on all orders over $10 and support the channel at the same time. Hey there, this is John from Heroes and Legends, and welcome to another edition of the Magic the Gathering Market Watch. Of course, the Commander 2018 decks came out this weekend, and as you can imagine, there's some pretty big impacts on many cards in the secondary market. We'll be looking at some of those today. Also, we're still feeling the ripple effects from Pro Tour 25th anniversary last week, so a lot going on. We'll jump in. Quickly before we get started, though, just a fast reminder, if you check out the description below, you'll find a few ways to help support what we do here at the channel. Our Patreon page is linked down below, as well as links to products on Amazon. And you saw at the beginning of the video, also, there's a link to Flipside Gaming. You can get 10% off there if you use the promo code on $10 or more. So as always, thank you not only to the folks that look at those links, but also to all the viewers, because you all make the channel what it is. Let's get into it. All right, let's begin with the top 5 standard legal cards that have lost value this week. Number 5, Liliana Death's Majesty, down 87 cents to $11.96. Lily's been a great card in standard her entire time, really, but she is closing in on rotation, so that's part of the reason for some of the softness. Now, she's been good even since Magic 2019's come out in these Grixis mid-range decks and such. However, when you look at the Pro Tour last weekend, she didn't get a lot of airtime because even though there were Grixis decks there, a lot of people in the Team Trios event were playing safer decks like Red-Black Aggro. The deck people felt like they wanted to gamble on seemed to be Turbo Fog more than anything else. But she didn't see a whole lot of camera time between being overshadowed by that deck as well as the fact that we saw a lot of tried and true decks. So I think she's going to continue to put up good results through the rest of this meta, but you can't deny the softness is going to continue because of the fact that she is rotating soon. Number 4, Johnny, Adversary of Tyrants, down 91 cents to $13.95. There was a lot of excitement around this card when it was launched. Didn't really pan out in most cases, at least not yet. The Knights deck was the big hope for this card week 1, and that hasn't really had a follow-up big performance. Now that could change this week, the next week, who knows? But I do think a Johnny is going to be a strong card post-rotation when the field narrows a little bit, so this is one to watch. Number 3, Rekindling Phoenix, down 98 cents to $26.99. This has been a very strong card that has not changed. It's not going to change either. This doesn't rotate out or anything. We're going to have it for a while. And it looked good at the last Pro Tour. You could argue that with more cards being added, even as recently as Magic 2019, adding things like Demanding Dragon, that a lot of decks that maybe auto-included this as a 4 of now use this as more of a 2 or 3 of. Yeah, that's true. But I think part of the reason this is going down even this week is just the fact that players have their copies. Like the hardcore standard players, they bought their playsets a long time ago. So I don't expect any big sales. Even when this card does well, I think it's going to stay relatively stable. So we'll have to see what it does in the new meta because there are a lot of red cards that are going away that make that such a strong color. And we don't know yet what we're going to get from Guilds of Ravnica. So time will tell if this card will become better or get a little muted by the rotation. Number 2, Nicol Bolas, the Ravager, down 206 to $37.49, still a very expensive price point. And this is the newest standard set, so a lot of people are drafting it, they're buying packs, and that's part of the reason this will continue to go down in the coming weeks. Now, last weekend at the Pro Tour, we didn't see a ton of Bolas on air coverage or anything like that. He was there, definitely, making an impact. But again, a little overshadowed by the Turbo Fog deck and people making more conservative decisions on their deck choices, not going with like a new Grixis mid-range deck for that particular tournament. So because of that, we didn't see any sort of big jump from this card last weekend, and I don't anticipate it to do anything crazy financially, even though, again, I do think it's going to put up some good results this weekend and in coming weeks. Number 1, Nexus of Fate, down $5.93 to $35.91. We talked about this card a lot last week when it spiked. And part of the reason for that spike was the psychological aspect that people were afraid they were missing out. That this was a special edition card that you're not going to be able to get other than from that buy a box promo that occurred. And now as packs get open, more copies aren't coming into circulation. People don't want to miss out and they're afraid that the card is going to continue to go up in value. What if they want to play Turbo Fog? What if there's a better deck even next time around after rotation where people need these cards? So that fear gets people to panic, and when the motion comes into play, people are willing to part with their money. That's what we saw last week. Now, of course, that was intensified by the fact that that Turbo Fog deck looked really good last weekend at the Pro Tour of all places. So decks running 4 copies of this all of a sudden became something a lot of people were interested in assembling. So you put all that together, and last week we saw a big spike. What's the difference between last week and this week? Well, some of that hype dies down. People's emotions get into check and they start to think logically and they say, okay, it looked great at the Pro Tour, but what's going to happen? I mean, rotation is going to be occurring soon. It could get worse. It could get better. And people are now prepared. I mean, the deck was a surprise last weekend. If people prepare in sideboard, is it going to be all that great? Time will tell, but everyone's calming down a little bit. Also, people who have these cards that aren't planning on using them saw them spike up to $40, $45 and thought, okay, you know what? I can sell these. I'm not going to play them. I can get cards I need, so on. So more copies entered the marketplace. And I think finally, something else that was very critical to all this was Mark Rosewater coming out and making a statement saying that basically he doesn't like to talk about print runs and such. However, he was going to make an exception and let everybody know that because of the way this promotion was, more of these cards were printed than any other Mythic in Magic 2019. I think that put a lot of people at ease and that panic started to subside a little bit. And because of that, the prices are starting to normalize. I do think this continues to come down, even if it has a great weekend, just because, again, some of the fears are starting to subside and people are getting past the hype. All right, let's move on to the top 5 standard legal cards that have gained value this week. Coming in at number 5, Ghalta Primal Hunger, up 48 cents to 10.60. Green Stompy decks, they are looking good, as a matter of fact, even though, again, a lot of people were shying away from them at the Pro Tour last weekend in Team Trios. You did see some out there. However, the deck looked great in other tournaments prior to the Pro Tour, and that's not going to change as we wrap up this meta. So this does have a pretty solid week. Number 4, Search for Azcanta of 50 cents to 17.77. We know this is a good card. It's been a good card for a long time in control decks and standard, modern. It's seen some legacy play in Miracles, as a matter of fact. But the reason it's going up again now this week is because it is part of that Turbo Fog deck. So even though Nexus of Fate is getting a little bit softer since it had that huge spike last week, some of the other cards from that deck are still solid. Number 3, Psymaster Thopterist, up 98 cents to 2.89. There's a little crossover appeal right now for this card. Partially, you have your standard folks, and there's a couple decks there that are running this card, as a matter of fact. You'll find this in the Reservoir Combo decks, which got some good TV coverage last weekend at the Pro Tour. You're also going to find this in Mono Blue Artifact, which is a fan favorite deck. So there are some people playing it already in standard. Modern even, I've seen this show up in some sideboards here or there, even as a one of. We'll have to see where that goes. But also the other portion of the community interested in this card are Commander players, maybe some folks that picked up Exquisite Invention that want to upgrade. This is the perfect upgrade for that deck. Number 2, Teferi, Hero of Dominaria, up $1.52 to $35.99. Really solid price point for this card. We talk about it all the time. It's still going up, even though a lot of packs of Dominaria have been opened now. But the card sees play, of course, in all of those control decks that we always talk about in standard and in modern. It's even seen in a little legacy and vintage play here and there. But the reason it's going up as much as it is this week is because, again, it's part of that Turbo Fog deck. So you got yet another deck that a lot of people are excited about running this card. Number 1, this isn't really moving as much because of standard, but it is still standard legal. Nimble Obstructionist, up $1.65 to $4.24. This is looking good in modern in the Is It Wizard aggro style decks. And one actually came in 6th place at the Star City Games Modern Open in Indianapolis a couple weeks ago. So that does have some people just excited about that deck. And I'll tell you, when a tribal deck does well, even if there's a hint that it could do well, there will be excitement out there. Because there's a lot of fans of tribal strategies, just generally. So we'll have to see if the deck can continue to put up good results. But at least right now, a lot of people are excited about the deck and this card in particular. All right, let's move on to the top 5 modern legal cards that have lost value this week. Number 5, Engineered Explosives from Modern Masters, down $2.30 to $94.97. Well, we were expecting a little snapback here. I mean, this version as well as the original version have been aggressively spiking recently. They're a key part of Ironworks Combo, which is a very popular deck currently. Also got some coverage with Pro Tour, of course. But also, it's a sideboard card in so many modern as well as legacy decks. So the card's been hot, but it did need to normalize a little bit. And that's what you're starting to see here. I don't think it goes down much more. I feel like this truly is a $95 to $100 card. It might just go back and forth a little bit. Number 4, Tarmogoyf from Modern Masters, down $2.42 to $71.25. So we talk about this every week. Goyfs are a little slow right now in the market because there's been some inconsistencies with Jund performance. Jund will put up an awesome result one week. We won't hear about it for a few more weeks. He'll put up another great result. So I think that inconsistency, coupled with the fact that there's so many good options for decks right now in Modern, means that this card is going to go down a little bit more before this finally stabilizes. With that being said, though, it sees playing a lot of other modern decks. It sees playing a lot of legacy decks. So don't expect this to bottom out and become like a $40, $50 card or anything. That's not going to happen. But I wouldn't be shocked to see this get down maybe closer to 65, 68 in the coming weeks. Number 3, Crucible of Worlds. This time it's the 10th edition version, down $246 to $40.49. Now, this is a great card. In fact, if you just bought the Nature's Vengeance deck, perfect upgrade there. However, because this was reprinted in Magic 2019, the older copies are still a little bit soft. You can see that here. Number 2, Karn Liberated from Modern Masters 2015, down $259 to $93.05. Okay, Karn's not going anywhere. Did a Tron deck top 4 the Team Trios event at the Pro Tour? No, and that's maybe why this is a little soft this week. But don't worry, Tron is all over the place, especially mono green Tron right now is very hot. So yeah, you could argue this card was probably ready to stabilize down slightly just due to the fact that it has been aggressively spiking recently. I don't expect it to go down all that much lower. Number 1, Vegvine, down $5.41 to $55. Now, this has had a big journey this week. This card's been all over the place. It's the key part, in fact, the namesake of the black-red Vegvine deck in Modern, which took the Pro Tour kind of by storm. Another deck that surprised a lot of people, that put up a good win percentage, looked fantastic on camera. It looked blistering fast. The big question is, now that people are ready for it in the coming weeks, is it going to be as good? I'm willing to bet it's not going to be as dominant as it looked at times on camera when people are prepared for it, and we'll talk more about that in a moment. But with all that being said, it had a huge price spike last weekend during the Pro Tour. We saw this card at times actually reach around the $90 mark. And yeah, when a card goes up to $70, $90, a lot of people are going to have them in their binders. They're going to see that and they're going to throw them out there on eBay because it's a quick way to make some money if they're not using those cards, right? So that's what happened. More inventory got out there. Same with stores. Stores may have a bunch of copies that they didn't bother listing online and they say, oh, wow, okay, let's list these things and get them moving. So that's what's going on. Big snapback, not surprising at all. Whenever you see a big spike, this will happen, especially when it's around a lot of hype like an event such as the Pro Tour. But with that being said, this is not going to go down to where it was prior to the spike, and this deck does look like it's going to be pretty good and hanging around for a while. All right, let's move on to the top 5 modern legal cards that have gained value this week. You're going to see some modern cards here as well as some cards that are influenced by Commander. Number 5, though, is Gravecrawler, up $3.48 to $9.99. This is the Dark Ascension version. This is part of the black-red Vegvine deck, and whereas Vegvine had a wild week, this one has been steadily crawling behind, still going up in value, as you can see here. Number 4, Copy Enchantment, up $3.49 to $14.34. Of course, this is a great pickup as an upgrade to the Adaptive Enchantment Commander deck. Number 3, another card that fits into that Adaptive Enchantment deck. It's Enchanted Evening, up $5.61 to $21. Being a Shadowmoor card as well, since that set did have a lower print run, these cards tend to be a little more spiky when people decide they want to pick them up. Number 2, another rare from Shadowmoor, Wound Reflection, up $10.22 to $21.99. So a couple reasons for this, actually, both Commander 2018 related. First off, you can throw this in your Subjective Reality deck. Great combo with Sower of Discord. Those two cards together are awesome. The other thing people are doing with this is if you look over at Nature's Vengeance, you can take Xantcha out of that deck and build around her, even as the commander. A lot of people are trying to build these like amplified damage style commander decks with her and like Pestilence and cards like Wound Reflection. So between the crossover appeal of two different styles of play in Commander, this card has a big week. Number 1, Leyline of the Void. Two versions here. Magic 2011 up 2137 to 5538, and Guild Pact up 2247 to 5799. Basically, this is a reaction to the black-red Vegvine deck, which at its heart is just a dredge deck, really. And dredge has been a modern deck for a long time, but in recent months it hasn't been as successful, so people haven't been sideboarding as aggressively against it. Well, for those folks that don't own these, they're going out now and trying to pick them up, and that's what you're seeing here. Even the Vegvine deck will run these out of the sideboard in case they come up against a dredge or mirror matchup. So these will be popular for a while. I would expect a little snapback, though, because this is a very aggressive increase. All right, let's move on to our Vintage Spotlight. A lot of unlimited cards still being bought out, and you'll see that as we go through today. This, however, is from Antiquities. It's Urza's Tower. Some of these original Tron lands are getting hotter and hotter, and at times it does look like there's buyouts going on. Although there's not tons of them at any given time on the online marketplace, so if someone's just trying to buy 4 copies and maybe even like a handful of people decide they want 4 copies, it might appear to be a buyout, but it might not actually be an orchestrated buyout. So a couple versions of this card got really hot this week. The one you see on the screen here is the mountains art with the mountain in the background. That's up $16.40 to $29.97. And then the one with the shore with the water in the background is up $13.34 to $32.47. I mean, all these cards are moving up, but these just moved up at a very strong pace this week. Gaia's Liege is another one. This one's up $24.87 to $55. This was on our list last week. Of course, this is the unlimited version of the card. It just feels like a buyout to me. This is not on the reserve list and has been reprinted. Sol Ring, the unlimited version, up $62.47 to $112.66. When I was seeing all of these buyouts from Unlimited, I was a little curious why I didn't see Sol Ring go up yet. Well, it finally happened. Maybe people were thinking about it because, of course, it was just reprinted in the Commander 2018 decks. And, out of sight, out of mind, maybe when people saw it, they just decided to go ahead and jump on this one. Here's our first reserve list card, actually. It's Cyclopean Tomb from Unlimited, up $79 to $144.95. Again, it's a very aggressive, fast spike. Definitely feels like a buyout. And Bayou from Unlimited, another reserve list card, up $944.99 this week to $1,999.99. A couple near mint copies of this are out there right now and listed for one at $2,000 and one at $4,000 respectively. So with those near mint copies out there, it is going to pull the price points up generally when you look at averages. So that's why you're seeing such a big spike this week. Now, air quotes here, $2,000 for a near mint unlimited Bayou probably is a fair price. $4,000 is an extreme price. And it's part of the reason it's pulling the data so far up this week. So keep that in mind. When that 4,000 listing goes down, you will see this probably adjust back down at least a little bit. All right, let's look at the Commander Spotlight. So not as big as it has been in some of the weeks leading up to the launch of the Commander 2018 decks. I'll be curious to see once people actually buy these decks, if maybe more casual players will start looking at secondary market cards. We'll see how that unfolds in the coming weeks. But for right now, I'm going to go through these pretty quickly, just show you the card, what it did, and the main reason why it's moving. Herald of Leshrac up $1.25 to $9.64. And this, of course, is a good upgrade to the Nature's Vengeance deck. Temporal Mastery from Avacyn Restored up $1.36 to $9.99. This was like the key miracle that was missing from the Subjective Reality deck, and I can see where a lot of people are happy, I think, with the assortment of miracles that they put in there for the most part, but this was like the big omission that a lot of folks will try to pick up later. Thassa, God of the Sea up $1.56 to $11. Fantastic for the Adaptive Enchantment deck. Of course, this is an enchantment in itself. Scrying's never a bad thing. But it's really about that ability. You have your tall creatures all suited up, but they need to get their damage across. She's going to help with that. Omnith, Locus of Rage, up $1.84 to $4.99. A card that a lot of people were expecting to see in the Nature's Vengeance deck. When it didn't show up, it started going up in value. Realms Uncharted, up $2.48 to $4.79. This has seen some legacy play in like Cloudpost ramp decks and such, but really it's moving this week because of the Nature's Vengeance deck. Greater Oromancy up $2.55 to $44.99. This is another hot Shadowmoor rare. And yes, this card is moving because of Adaptive Enchantment. Agothian Enchantress. Of course, another card that's moving thanks to Adaptive Enchantment. Although this has seen legacy play for a long time in Enchantress decks. Eternal Master is going up $3.24 this week to $16.93. With Urza Saga going up $4.37 to $16.23. Power Artifact up $4.74 this week to $174.99. This is a reserve list card, and reserve list cards from Antiquity, sometimes they just go up because they're going to go up. I put it on here, though, because going up $4.74 feels like a natural increase as opposed to a buyout or something like that. So this could be maybe just a handful of people picking this up for the Exquisite Invention deck, and it's good there. It will work with Retrofitter Foundry and a lot of other cards in the deck. So it doesn't take a whole lot of people to actually decide to bite the bullet and buy this thing before you're going to start seeing an increase, because there's not a lot of copies out there to pick up at any given time. Also, though, I wouldn't recommend going out and spending $175 as an upgrade to that particular deck. It just feels a little excessive, even though, yeah, it's a good card. Insidious Dreams up $5.75 to $15.74. This is going to be great in the Subjective Reality deck as an upgrade. You can play this with Entreat the Dead and set up your top deck for a number of turns, which will work well with a number of other cards there. Some people are also thinking about this as a card they might play in a Yuriko deck, as a matter of fact, because it works great with her too. So just overall, fantastic pickup for that deck. Unfortunately, it has a really spiky week, going up almost $6. One card for our Pauper Spotlight, and it is Rhystic Study from Prophecy at 42 cents to $14.51. This card's been hot for a number of weeks. Partially it is due to Commander, because this is a great Commander card, and a lot of players thought that maybe this would get reprinted in one of the Commander 2018 decks. Of course, that wasn't the case. But this is a great Pauper card too in that Dimir control/land destruction deck, which has been pretty popular. Alright, with that being said, that's our Market Watch for this week. Hey, until next time, thanks for watching. Please remember to like and subscribe, and have a great day. Hey, thanks for watching. This video is made possible by the generous support of viewers like you on Patreon. Check out the description below for links to our Patreon page as well as our Amazon affiliate store, where a small percentage of all sales will also help support the channel. Finally, if you haven't had a chance yet to subscribe, hit that subscribe button so you don't miss any new videos on Heroes and Legends. Talk to you again soon, and have a great day.